one thing is like people don't realize how much a lot of this shit costs. A Lambo is like $3,000 to $5,000 per month max. That's not a lot. That's $50,000 in a year. $50,000 to a high earning person is not a lot of money. So now if you get a fucking Lambo that's $30,000 to $40,000 in a year, who gives a fuck?
Well, you know
That's
what the
not a
issue is, though? A lot of people are going to be like, that's a lot of money. And this is where your limiting mindset comes in.
Yeah,
and it goes back to what you're saying, your money mindset. Like,
yeah, I mean, because the thing is, like, when people start thinking $100,000 is money, they've never gotten money. I'm sorry, but, like, I can't take care of my mom, my dad, my brothers, and my fucking 2 houses, my cars on $100,000 in a year. I've blown fucking $30,000, $40,000 in the last month and a half. I'll lose a little bit. I'll spend a little bit. Most of it's back into my business, right? But it's like a lot of people don't understand what real money is. Real money is not $100,000 per year. That maybe in the fucking 80s, $100,000 in a year was real. And I heard Grant get a lot of flack for like, yo, $40,000 a month is a lot of, a lot of money.
I saw
like
that.
Barstool Sports was like,
TikTok
rich guy, Grant Cardone thinks that $400,000 in a year is not enough to support your family. Bro, if you live in Miami and also you have dependents, you have family, you have your wife, you have your kids, you have your family, you know, like outside family, your brothers and sisters, and then you have like a lot of expenses that are coming on, $400,000 is also not a lot of money. People don't understand that, but it's like they get caught up in the number. But what the fuck is a number? A number goes into infinity.
Yeah.
Infinity is also a number.
Yeah.
A trillion, a gajillion. Those are actually real numbers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of people get caught up in the minutia of, I need to be able to get $100,000 in themselves in a year. And now they think that $100,000 is a year's worth
potential.
of money and their potential.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that there's people out there making $100,000 a day. If you understood, there's also people like Jeff Bezos that actually make maybe $1 million, $2 million in a day, maybe even more than that. You will change your perspective on how much money you can actually potentially earn in life. Oh,
yes.
You know?
Yes, because you activate that RAS system in your brain that opens up the possibility to you. And that's what I like about Grant says, or what people say in general. It's very much a mindset coaching thing. It's like whatever your goal is, double that, triple that, 10x that. Because now what you're doing is you're making yourself feel uncomfortable. If your goal is like $100K a year, okay, that's fine. And let me get this straight. You know, I know what Grant said about the $400K had a lot of backlash. I think it's also important to talk about the fact that like what people want for a fulfilling, happy life is very much diversified, right? Some people want the very much comfortable, like average, like $100K a year life. Like that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're ambitious, if you want to live a luxurious, happy life where like you're free, you know, expand your horizons of what you think is possible for yourself, right? And I remember reading the comment section of that and I was like, yeah, I get that. Like for some people, 400K might be a lot. For other people who want to have a better life, stop limiting yourself by this 100K thing a year.
Do you know why people think 100K per year is a lot?
Why?
It's because they think that the time that they spend is linear to the money that they earn.
The 9 to 5
right.
monopoly.
So they think if I work, I'd have to make $75 or $100 per hour at 8 hours to make $1 million per year. How am I going to get a job that gets me $75 per hour? It's like, no, maybe if you provided a service or provided a product that you can now scale to $1 million, that's how you make $1 million. What I learned when I had a job was like, if I live my fucking life getting $60K per fucking year, I will die broke. I had come from a business where I made fucking $60,000 in a week before. At one event that we'd had 6, 7, 8, 10 at a time. I've fucking done $600,000 in a fucking month. $600,000 in a week. I had to go then to fucking $60,000 in a week. You know how fucking fucked up I thought it was to go to $60,000 per week? I was like, this is not fucking gonna happen. I was like, this is fucking allowance money when I was a kid. Even though I didn't grow up with money like that. But it's like, yo, this is not a lot of money. But people get caught up by society that tells them it's a lot of money because minimum wage. And now you're getting paid by the hour. You don't get paid by an hourly worker as a human being to actually get successful and rich. If you want to get paid by the hour, then you sacrifice the risk of ever getting rich. If you get paid for your product, your service, and the demand and the value that you bring to society, that's when you get rich. When you bring enough value to the masses of people, that's when you get rich. You can get 100,000, 2 million at a time. That's why you see some of these rappers that like have a lot of an audience get 2, 3, $10 million deals at a time. It's because they have the audience. It's they have the value to the masses of the people. It doesn't even have to be masses of people sometimes. You just need to provide value to the right amount of people, to the right extent, to give and extract at the same time.
A lot of people are going to ask now, like, what is value? And I'm connecting to Novo because I remember How to Get Rich. And you showed me that video. And it's like, it opened my eyes because it was like, okay, you need to build a skill stack of leverage, you know, whether it's coding, like whether that's coding, whether that's media, and you need to acquire the skill sets that equates to a wealthy person. You need to master persuasion, communication.
Do you remember what leverage is for what he said?
What do you mean?
What did Neville say leverage is from the old days and what it is today?
Specific knowledge? So
there's a couple of types of leverage, right? There's the human capital leverage, which is like, I have 1,000 employees and we'll put the 1,000 employees workforce on you. That's leverage. Then you have capital leverage, which is like money. Now I have money and I have leverage.
Oh, I remember this. But I keep going.
But now there's new types of leverage, which is media, what we're filming today. This is leverage. People don't understand when you're producing a video, when you're producing content. One, it's your product. And then second, it's the most fucking lucrative business in the world. If you can record something one time and put it on the internet and literally scale it for the entire lifespan that you have on this earth, you have one product that can reach billions of people. But you don't understand that there's value in this, right?
Yes.
That's
because what you're doing, it's like we get so caught up as a creator. We're both creators. As a creator, it's so important because whether you put out one video, you now have a clone of yourself.
It's your product.
It's a clone and it's evergreen. So that value that you're now putting out through media is your product and it's scalable and it's going to be on the internet forever. There's so much leverage in that. And I think we're now shifting to we're all now realizing how much value there is in media. And what's great about you is that you understand like the hard skills, the technical skills of like tech and coding and all of that. You know how to build. And when you couple that with mastering your communication, your articulation, your persuasion, you are such a powerhouse. And I've noticed in industries, especially like my dad works in the engineering industry, so I've seen that growing up like very much personable. Like people are great at their knowledge. They're so smart, but they suck at articulating their knowledge. They suck at distribution. They suck at telling people what they do because it's so transactional. And I want you to touch on this because when people think value, we think of value like, oh, it's just the service you're providing. No, you can have the most amazing service, but people don't care about the service. They care about why I should care.
What it can do for you.
Why I should care.
Exactly. That's what people don't understand is like the only way you're ever going to get rich in this life is when you provide value to other human beings. But they want to extract value as much as possible. But you can only extract so much. Like the second you change from like my mind of like how can I take as much as I can from people to changing it to how much can I actually service these people, actually how much can I actually give them, that's when everything changed for me. When I started thinking to people like, yo, what can I give them that's going to change how much money they can make, how many opportunities they can have, that's when everything changed for me. Is when I went from the mindset of like how much value can I extract from them, how much money can I take from them, and how much can I get from them, to me being like, actually, how much can I give them? What can I do with my skill sets that is just going to 10x their shit, 100x their shit? And now we can both get money together.
Awesome.
That's when shit changed for me. And I think that a lot of people just look at it like very extractive. Like, fuck that. Stop extracting. Actually get these people to fucking get some help. Actually provide value in the world. And that's when you become successful. But you know what the problem is?
What?
People don't see the value in themselves. So how can they ever expect value, right?
They say, you know, it's such an overused phrase, but like your success is like 80% mindset. And it's so true because like when you know what value you bring into the world, you're now able to articulate that and distribute that in a way that you know you're self-assured in what you provide. And now when people look at you, they're like, oh yeah, he has conviction. She has conviction. Because you could be so smart, but what really matters is like how you're articulating that. And you don't like, people don't realize the power of conviction, how you're expressing yourself, how you're saying it. This is so important, and I wish people really understood the value of that, but people get so caught up in like their own self-inflicting narratives, and they also, I know for a fact, get really worried about like what makes me different, what about the competition, everyone's doing what I want to do, and that's like a false narrative. And I heard this from someone, I think it was like someone in like on Twitter, it was like, you don't want to be in an industry that's like totally by itself, because because no one gives a shit about that industry.
Yeah.
No one's investing in that industry. It's about being in an industry that has demand, but you finding like a different way to provide value, solving the same pain points. Because we as humans, we all have the same pain points, whether it's like in the health, wealth, relationships industry. Like there's 4 eternal markets, I think, right? So it's like, it's about finding where you can provide value in one of these industries and disrupting the way other people are doing things. And that's where value comes from. It's not by necessarily reinventing the wheel. It's by finding a better way to solve an already existing eternal problem.